Law enforcement has changed significantly over the last 30 years. When I first started out, we were taught the use of force continuum and going one level higher than the suspect in order to protect ourselves. Today, we're looking at de-escalation. What do we do? What skills do we have? What techniques can we use to de-escalate that individual, to move them down one level so that we don't have to use force or deadly force? Through skills like active listening, creating time and distance between us and the citizen will help to de-escalate the situation. Changing our stance, our posture, our tactical positioning, as we call it, will help to de-escalate the situation. And sometimes we do an activity in our class where we just have them stand up and take a step backwards, to let them know that something as simple as taking a step backwards, taking a deep breath, may be all that's needed to take a situation and bring it to a calm resolution instead of a use of force or a use of deadly force. Several years ago, when these series of mass shootings were occurring across the country, I pitched Department of Justice on doing some research to look into the victimology. We always look at the offenders, but look at the victims and see what did they do to survive these horrific incidents. They didn't bite on it. They said no, they weren't sure if they were ready for that type of research yet. But I felt so confident in that was needed research that I put my own research team together. And we started studying every mass shooting back to 1980. And we specifically looked at what actions did the victims take or what decisions did they make that allowed them to survive these terrible incidents. And what we came up with was a 6-step model and a book, Mass Shootings, 6 Steps for Survival, to teach people what they can teach their children, what they can teach in their community centers, and what we can teach all around the country. 6 easy steps that if you ever find yourself in an active shooter or mass shooting situation will help you to survive that situation. So what are those 6 steps? The first is to exit. Exit the scene as quickly as you can. Put as much distance between yourself and that shooter as possible. If you can't exit, then I want you to seek cover. Cover is anything that'll protect you from bullets. It can be a steel beam in a building, a brick wall. It could even be a vending machine in a hallway or a big copier in a commercial office building. Cover will protect you from the bullets. Now, what if you can't exit and what if you can't seek cover like many of those folks in Aurora in the movie theater and other situations? Find concealment. Concealment is anything that'll hide you from the shooter. It could be a tree outside. It could be a bush. It could be behind a chair or a piece of furniture. If you can stay out of the sight of the shooter, your chances for surviving go up exponentially. Constantly throughout the situation, assess it. Do you need to move? Do you need to change positions? Do you need to run? Do you have a chance to exit? After assessing the situation, you want to make sure that if you are going to run, that you present a small target. Crouch down, run quickly, run from piece of furniture or office equipment or pole to pole, making it as difficult as possible for the shooter to find you as a target. And finally, the last step in this engagement module is to engage the shooter. And you don't want to engage the shooter unless you absolutely have to. The statistics tell us that if we engage the shooter, only when we have 3 or more people, we attack them simultaneously, and we do it when they're in the act of changing weapons or loading their weapon or doing some non-shooting activity. Only in those very finite circumstances do we have the ability to survive the incident. The escape model, ESCAPE, is a 6-step model that you can survive an active shooter or mass shooting incident.